everyone, and welcome back to the Business Between Us podcast. I'm Siyonna, a Business Information Systems major at the University of Pittsburgh and a newly certified Associate Project Manager.
And I am Hamal, Dr. Nkem, and I'm a business owner, executive, and a project management expert. We are a mother-daughter duo exploring where business theory meets boardroom reality.
Yes, so last time we talked about financial literacy and how confidence with numbers can help shape your decisions. But today we're diving into project management. Not just what happens in the classroom, but how pursuing a certificate outside of the classroom actually started it all for me, specifically with the Associate Project Management Certificate from the Project Management Institute, or PMI for short.
And since I am a project management mastered and a PMP certified professional, I think this will be a great podcast because we have a lot of notes to compare and bring some real life experience to this conversation. But let's talk about how all the structure and planning translates when real people and real deadlines come into the picture.
Yes, for sure. So just to start off, well, I don't know if you remember when you first mentioned the CAPM certificate to me. We were actually driving around one day this past summer, and you told me to consider it. And yet you were kind of surprised that I taken keen to it, and I actually finished it like 2 or 3 months after that conversation.
Yeah, I know. Thank you. I keep telling you that just to always have had a listening ear for the most part. And I knew all along that project management, besides being a discipline, is also a skill set, and it has served me well throughout my career and in my personal life. So I really felt that that was a skill set that you should acquire sooner rather than later and really understand that learning to manage um, a project is not about just the task, but it's about the people, it's about managing the priorities, it's about managing the change. And having a project management framework helps provide some structure. However, what will make or break the project is not just having a structure in place, it's also the soft skills involved. And I felt like this was an opportunity for you to at least begin your journey in understanding and becoming an expert in that space.
Yes, for sure. I feel like the certification really helped me not only give context to what I did before with um, yes, what I did before with clubs and things like that, but also helped me going into this past fall semester. And a lot of my BIS classes had a lot to do with project management in general. So it really just gave me a roadmap.
Oh, that's nice. Um, I like the way you use the term roadmap, right? Because that's all it is. You still have to drive the car down the road, right? But having a roadmap is powerful. At least you can have the direction to know where you're going. When I got my project management master's degree, I actually was doing my MBA, and the master's in project management was introduced at the latter half of my learning as a dual master's degree at George Washington University. Um, and a lot of people who were in my MBA class, if not at all, did not see that as a value add, and I neither did I. So I decided to ask the admissions director, and I said, why should I want to have a master's in project management? I have an MBA. Shouldn't I already know how to manage a project? And he told me no. Project management is a discipline of its own, and um, project management itself has a science and an art to it. And he advised me, why don't you go ahead and take project management as one of your elective courses, the introduction to project management, and and that will serve two things. You can now have your leg into the dual master's program, but also you can understand what I'm trying to explain to you about this. So I went ahead and I did that in a very good decision that I made. The master's program is definitely way, way more uh, in depth than the PMP training courses, but at least I was able to add on the PMP certification as an icing on the cake. Um, but the reason I did that is I realized that this is beyond a credential or certificate. It was also a mindset shift in how you manage things in general. And prior to this, I had done my MPH, my Master's in Public Health, and we learned about the logic model and different ways to manage, um, public health projects. I thought this was a really a deeper dive into how best to be technical about it. And at the time, I was doing my master's in project management. It wasn't something that was as common in healthcare space because project management, as you know, originated from the engineering side of the house. So, but growing up with my dad and my siblings as engineers, I kind of already had that, engineering mindset and background, having interned at my dad's engineering firm as a younger girl, and I just kind of felt inclined, and I'm happy now that project management is more used and utilized in the healthcare space compared to when I first started off almost 14 years ago. So I think it's really a great skill set to have. It helps you think and act like a leader even before you have that title, if you can do well with managing projects.
I think that's great. And I feel like this isn't the first time you've really introduced it was the CAPM. You also did it earlier than that. I just didn't realize it because I didn't have like the terms for it. I think one example was it was my sister's birthday party. It was coming up, and she wanted to have like this movie themed sort of thing. And she was
Yeah.
11, I was about 14, and you kind of give us this like simplified version of a project charter, basically. And you had her outline what her budget was, what everything she wanted, and then I had to help her because, of course, she's on the younger side, she's still in middle school, so it was a very interesting experience.
I definitely recall that because um at the time I thought that up until that date uh I will be the one who's planning the birthday parties and
Mhm.
uh ask you guys, you girls, what you wanted. And you girls would just talk about how, you want this theme from Little Mermaid to the Princess Tiana to Disney, themed birthday parties. And I'll go all out, get the invites done, send it out, get the party planner, get the event together and all that good stuff. And it was funny because every year the request from you girls became bigger and bolder, and I'm like, wait a minute, it seems like I need to teach them the concept of spending for something that they really want to do, because that's really where you find the sweet spot, right? So I made that project charter like a simplified version of what I use on the job. I remember I put it on Google Form at the time. You guys had adult monitors Gmail accounts, and I had her go online to fill it out and have you look at it with her, and she had to write the name of the project, my 12th birthday party, the objective, the goal of the party, how you consider this party a success. My friends will be happy, they'll come, I'll do this and that, the timing of the planning uh um of the party from the start to showtime. What's the timeline? She was definitely designated a project manager. I think you were the project director. I was a project sponsor, but she had to identify her team, recruiting her sisters, her friends, her best friends, the budget she knew of. She had to identify the risk. She was born in January, so it could snow or not. What were the contingencies if that happened? Assumptions, so that we kind of thought this through, and she could really appreciate the exercise, and you as well. And I got an instant return on my investment because when she went to our home Amazon account and started putting the items in the cart that she wanted, she was worried when she saw that the money was increasing, the total amount was increasing, and she was like asking if she could take some things out so that she can stay within her budget. And then she started asking more insightful questions like, Mommy, is there enough money for cake? Is this included in my budget or not? What about the food, the drinks, and so on and so forth? So, um, ever since then, you guys have really been more cautious every time we plan around your birthday parties in terms of how we spend, what the benefit was to you as the celebrator, I guess, and the celebrant, and your guests that were coming. And it was good to do that because we adjusted over the years across three children, thousands of dollars that we could have otherwise spent because we didn't teach you how to adjust your wants, needs to your constraints, right? So really teaching you about the triple constraint of scope, time, and budget. And I thought that was a great at-home application that I did after I learned about project management principles and skills. And I did it in a slightly different, more hands-on way. And I like the fact that I did that. So um, happy that you remember that. Yes, we do have a home project charter for key events.
Definitely, it definitely helped. And so when I went, even going to the certification, I didn't really go into it blind. Like I knew to an extent what certain things were. I was just getting some key terms, and it covered a lot, like knowing about project scope, scheduling, cost management, risk management, quality management, communication. We also learned a lot about the five process groups, which is initiating,
Cheating.
planning, executing, monitoring, and controlling, as well as closing. So these are very crucial in making sure you're going through each phase of the project. And then knowing the key knowledge areas of that scope, time, and cost you're mentioning.
Absolutely. That's a toolkit, right? I always ask you, do you have the tools in your toolbox, right? So
Right.
anything that you need to apply to the work at hand, you can. So I'm happy you're mentioning all those things.
Yeah, that's her favorite phrase, tools in the toolbox. Yeah. But we also learned about more specific tools like Gantt charts and Kanban boards and fishbone diagrams,
Mm,
work breakdown structures, and methodologies like Waterfall, traditional, Agile, things like that. And just having an idea what fits per project, it helps run it even more smoothly. And what I just liked coming away from that is having that triple constraint, the time, cost, and scope. Having those things like it's very crucial in knowing each project. So once you have those three, then you can work within how much time you have to complete it, the budget you have, and what you're completing versus not to stay within scope.
I mean, it's funny. 18 months ago, you were in high school, right?
Mhm.
And fast forward,
Yeah.
here you are talking about triple constraint, and actually, you are the project manager for this podcast, trying to put it together, and pretty much one of the little things that you're managing to help you implement that skill set that you have, newly acquired, at a higher level. So I'm happy that you're seeing how all these things apply, not just knowing what they're named. The lesson that you have learned so far, even from when you were a kid using the home project charter, um, it doesn't fade, right? 20 years later, I'm still using those same things, you know, on the job in my personal life. I've seen where multi-million-dollar projects derail because leaders like ignored that triple constraint triangle. So whether what you're doing is on a small scale or is on a large capital project, that principle applies everywhere. So I know that this definitely will serve you well, and that's why in my company I require for you to at least become a director you must have had training in project management, or better still, a PMP certification, because you need to really know how to give that direction to the team, and that's really important.
And I feel like PMI also emphasized a lot on stakeholder management as well, because it's not just about the plan, but it's also about checking in with the people and how to communicate with everybody that's involved, either internally or externally.
That one is key, right? Because when you think about stakeholders, you're talking about those who are internal in your business. You're talking about your accounting team, your compliance team, your operations team. You're talking about the other folks within the actual project who are doing the client delivery work and things like that. You need to identify the internal stakeholders as well as your external stakeholders, your clients, sometimes beyond your clients, what other entities that you have to work with, right? So that you can be able to identify where people stand. And it's important at that stage to kind of know what the level of influence and the level of engagement, a support that a particular stakeholder has. So you as a project manager or project director can manage, because what you do want is to have the right support and backing to make sure that you can accomplish your goal and have a successful project within your triple constraint.
So you want to take that to the boardroom even
Of
more in depth?
course,
Yeah.
I can. So my thinking is that that's where experience teaches you the difference between communication and connection. And in theory, every project has a perfect plan. Um, and what is guaranteed is that in reality, it doesn't quite go exactly as planned or as scheduled. However, what project management learning teaches you is how to manage that to make sure ultimately you're still successful. So in one of my companies, we had a system upgrade project that looked flawless on paper. But once we started, the vendor delays and shifting client needs forced us to rethink our timeline completely. And, that comes with the territory.
Um, like you said, you can have the certifications, you can have the background knowledge, but just getting that education is one thing. What do you feel like learning about project management doesn't really teach at the end of the day?
Um, Patience. You need a lot of patience. Like I have to hone in on that because it's
Mhm.
important. You have to be adaptable. Focus on the focus. The focus
Mhm.
is that we have to accomplish this goal, right? So try to be astute with drowning off the noise.
Mhm.
Experience teaches you to improvise, you know, in real time. Like, so you have to know how to lead under pressure. You have to know how to make decisions with incomplete information that's complete enough in the moment. You have to know how to recover when things go wrong. The textbooks do not necessarily prepare you for the moment where your vendor misses a deadline and here your client is furious at you. So
Yeah.
those are the things that you have to know how to be patient and be very adaptable.
Yeah, I feel like that really brings the theory to the reality. Because I don't think we really learn about the politics behind the fallout within organization, the dynamics, each one having a different culture and morale and things like that.
Absolutely. Projects live in organizations.
Mm.
Organizations have politics. The organizations that you work with have politics in their organization. So you have to understand all these moving parts. And I know a lot of leaders that I've worked with before I started my businesses and now, that they want to become directors, they want to become vice presidents, they want to become leaders, but they don't remember at the time that they want that. that it involves a lot of politics and navigating the politics. And sometimes they just don't want that part of it, right? So I want you to know as you are advancing in your career that as you advance, and you want more leadership positions, you have to understand how to deal with the politics. It becomes a key part of how successful you will become. So where there are mentorship and leadership experiences, you have to fill in the gap there. You really cannot Gantt chart your way out of a human emotion or a situation that requires your understanding of how the politics work on the project.
Yeah, I think it's important to use, excuse me, project management as something more of a safety net rather than just a cage that you're boxed into. You have to
Exactly.
use it like you can't use it for word. You have to adapt.
Exactly. And sometimes you find some people might manage a project and feel I can only work within this box.
Mhm.
Like you said, it's a safety net is not a cage. So you have to know when to look around. What's that, surrounding to be able
Mhm.
to inform what's happening within your project. So yeah, if you remember that, it will serve you well.
Okay. So now we're gonna go into our fun little segment of the buzzword
Oh,
buster. We did this, I think, an episode or two ago, so we're gonna do this again since project management has a lot of key terms. So, are you ready?
uh-huh.
Okay, so first one will be stakeholder alignment.
So my fun, memorable twist for that word, for that term or stakeholder alignment is ultimately do not piss off the client who signs the check.
Mm,
That's you have to be aligned.
that's
Did
important.
did did you deliver what I paid you for?
Mm,
So yeah, that's the ultimate definition for me.
okay. How about project methodology, if you will.
So project methodology, uh, I would say that's a straight line one, but I would say my vulnerable twister for that one is remember that people get the work done. So, regardless of how you want to apply your methodology, remember that the structure matters, but you really have to understand the politics and the soft skills and the people skills required to make sure that your project is successful.
For our third and final one, to tie in with our title, Gantt chart.
Gantt chart. Uh, Gantt chart is a fun, memorable twist for that is graphic presentation of my plan on paper. A straightforward graphic presentation of my uh, project plan on paper. I need to be able to see a snapshot of how is this project going to work from start to finish? What's the timeline that I at least I can picture that from start to finish how this project is going to go. But again, as we've discussed already, you cannot again chart your way through
Mm.
executing that project plan. But it's good to have um, a graphic representation of what the plan is, and you kind of have that as a guide, of course, to monitoring your project schedule as well as the task and the deliverables that come with that. Okay, thank you for those buzzwords that you shared. Now it's time to hear from you, our listeners. You have um, been listening to us for a few couple of minutes now, and we would like to know, have you ever led or been part of a project that went off the rails? What did you learn? And it can be a personal or professional project. Um, if you want to share, that'd be great.
Yes, please send us your thoughts. and you might be featured in an upcoming episode. Who knows? Please share your experiences with us on our social media handles at Spotify, YouTube, TikTok, Facebook at the Business Between Us podcast. We also have our email, businessbetweenus@gmail.com. And you also have our personal LinkedIn's at Nkem OKK and Siyonna OKK. So please like, comment, share, subscribe, follow us, all the things at the Business Between Us podcast.
Yeah. So now
Okay.
let's do a recap with our key takeaways. So what's your key takeaway?
Okay. My key takeaway would be that project management is a good framework for building structure and confidence, at least for me as a business information systems major. Like going into each class, like I was able to understand it on a deeper level because of that preliminary learning. And I think it helps you be even more flexible when you go into different spaces as you're moving into career.
Okay, awesome. For me, mine is my key takeaway is that planning is essential. Um, and so is this and planning is essential and people are unpredictable. So this makes leadership both challenging but definitely rewarding if you keep working at the science and art of managing.
That's good. Yeah.
Mhm.
Okay. That comes to the end of our episode. Next time we'll be talking about all things leadership, from clubs and programs to businesses and everyday life.
This is going to be very insightful. I can't wait for that podcast. So we'll end with a quote. Plans are useless, but planning is indispensable. So thank you for joining us on the business between us. Until next time, see you.